Everybody, so just something to tell you all, to share with you all regarding episode 80 of the Marriedpreneur Life Podcast. Listen, Sway and I both knew that it was time for her to leave. We knew that it was time for time to separate. It was time to separate. It was time to leave. And by that I mean it was definitely time for my wife to get a break, to step away from the business, to step away from everything that we had been working so diligently on for the last, I don't know how many years, not just with our business, but with even our multiple different businesses together. And it's so interesting because one of the things that we really noticed was that, hey, we both have two separate thresholds, right? So she has a threshold and I have a threshold, just simply meaning, there comes a point where maybe one of us could endure certain things longer than the other person. It doesn't mean that one's better than the other person or less than. It just simply means that we have different thresholds. And that's so important because sometimes we can become so driven, so focused, so fixated on what it is that we're trying to accomplish, even if it's good for the marriage, even if it's good for the business. We're so focused on it that we may not always pay attention to where our spouse is, within the entire process. And one of the things that was so important that we realized was that, hey, when you feel like you're getting to your threshold or getting to that breaking point, say something, speak up, let the other person know. But at the same time, right, it was important for me as her husband to be attentive and perceptive and observant of how she was dealing with certain things and managing certain things as far as the day-to-day goes. And we both just realized, you know what, this is really a good time for you to step away from the business, to pull back from the business. And there's so many benefits that come with that. I won't even get into all of them. There's so many benefits to stepping away that really helps you to be better, right? Sharper, better in the marriage. I won't even get into more patient, all those things. But even as it pertains to the business, you're more creative in the business. You're more, your ability to troubleshoot, your ability to think critically really stands out when you are refreshed. And my wife, Lord knows, she needed to be refreshed. And so in this episode of the Marriedpreneur Life Podcast, we're talking about that stuff. We're talking about when is it a good time for you two to take a break. And it's so interesting because somebody asked me over last week and said, hey, why aren't you two taking a break together? Shouldn't you two be taking a break together? Shouldn't you two be out of town together? Shouldn't you two be relaxing together? And while Sway and I do take breaks together, while we do relax together, this was something that was really important for my wife to do so that she could come back and be refreshed and be sharper and be ready to, get back into the swing of things and what we were working on. And make no mistake, and this is what I so appreciate about her. While she was doing that, or even before she even took her time of stepping away, her time of having that time to recharge and refresh, she was actually looking for opportunities for me. So make no mistake, because your boys get ready to go step away and to refresh as well, because we both acknowledge, we both realize the longer we've been married, we realize, you know what? She's hitting her threshold, or she'll say, you know what, I can tell he's hitting his threshold. And so we talk about all of the amazing things that transpired, how I was able to do certain things and function in certain ways with regards to the business. And so, how do you know when it's time to separate? How do you know when it's time to, when one of you is hitting that threshold? So in this episode of the Marriedpreneur Life Podcast, I'm not going to give it all away. Make sure you go and listen to that on all of your favorite podcast listening platforms. You can click the link even in this video to find out all the things that we talked about. And it was relatively unscripted as it pertains to taking a break and stepping away. It was really healthy, really strong for us. And I'm telling you right now that my wife is back, I'm telling you, I can see the benefits of it. So go and check out episode number 80 of the Marriedpreneur Life Podcast. Hey, Click the link here, go listen on one of your favorite listening platforms, and give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. How do you two know when it's time to step away, take that break, when it's time to separate? All right.